Have you ever felt like no matter what you achieve, it's never enough? You get what you want, a new job, more money, recognition, but soon a new desire takes its place. It's an endless cycle, and the more you chase, the more restless you become. Over 2,500 years ago, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, saw this same struggle. As a prince, he had everything, wealth, luxury, and comfort, but still felt something was missing. He left it all behind in search of truth and discovered a profound realization. Happiness isn't found in having more, but in needing less. Today, we'll explore Buddha's path to contentment, the wisdom that can free you from endless craving and help you find peace in the present. If you've ever wondered why fulfillment feels just out of reach, this lesson will change how you see life forever. Let's begin. The endless trap of desire. Why more is never enough. Siddhartha Gautama, before becoming the Buddha, grew up surrounded by luxury and splendor. He had silk robes, the finest foods, and every comfort a palace could offer. Yet, despite having more than most could ever dream of, a sense of emptiness lingered within him. He observed that the satisfaction from each pleasure was always short-lived, quickly replaced by another craving. This observation led him to question the nature of human desire itself. Why, he wondered, do we never feel completely fulfilled, no matter how much we possess? He came to realize that desire is like a fire. It consumes everything we feed it, yet remains eternally hungry. The more we indulge, the stronger the flame becomes, compelling us to chase the next new thing. Even when we achieve our goals, a fresh longing arises, leaving us restless and unsatisfied. The prince understood that true peace could never be found in the cycle of endless wanting. Instead, it lay in breaking free from that very cycle. If even someone living in unimaginable luxury could feel incomplete, it became clear that no amount of external abundance could fill the void within. By questioning the illusion that more is always better, Siddhartha began his journey toward understanding the deeper nature of contentment. The illusion of external happiness. Why looking inward is the answer. Gautama Buddha's most profound breakthrough came when he realized that external pleasures, no matter how abundant, failed to produce lasting happiness. He noticed that people often tie their well-being to outcomes, wealth, relationships, status, but each of these can vanish in an instant. When that happens, despair sets in, revealing that their sense of joy was built on a shaky foundation. He likened this chase to filling a leaking pot, where no matter how much water you pour in, it can never stay full. In his search for truth, the Buddha discovered that real peace arises when you stop clinging to what is fleeting. Instead of looking outward, he turned his gaze inward, realizing that happiness must be cultivated from within. The outside world will always shift and change. Possessions can be lost, loved ones can leave, and achievements can fade. But the mind, when properly trained, can remain calm and content regardless of these fluctuations. By embracing the truth that everything external is transient, he freed himself from the bondage of constant worry. This approach does not mean denying life's joys. It means understanding that they are gifts to be cherished, not idols to be worshipped. In the end, Buddha's lesson is simple yet transformative. Lasting contentment comes not from manipulating the world around us, but from harmonizing the world within. The power of gratitude. How to shift your mindset. Throughout his teachings, the Buddha emphasized a practice of appreciation for what is already present. Rather than always yearning for the next best thing, he encouraged a mindful acknowledgement of small blessings that often go unnoticed. In the monastic tradition, monks demonstrate this principle by living on alms, receiving only what is offered each day. Through this humble way of life, they learn to feel thankful for every grain of rice, every drop of water, and every moment of peace that graces their path. This deep gratitude transforms ordinary experiences into sources of joy, proving that fulfillment is not about quantity, but perspective. By paying attention to life's details, a warm sunrise, a shared smile, a quiet moment of reflection, we shift our focus from what's missing to what's already here. Buddha taught that our suffering often stems from an endless pursuit of more, which blinds us to the abundance at our fingertips. When we pause to be grateful for the present, we break the habit of restlessly scanning the horizon for the next desire. In doing so, we discover that life itself is a gift, and contentment isn't found in the grandiose, but in the recognition of life's simplest treasures. In this state of open-hearted gratitude, the mind softens and a gentle peace emerges, revealing that the key to contentment has been within us all along: the burden of possessions. Why owning more won't make you happier? Buddha observed that while wealth and possessions can provide comfort, they often bring about a hidden weight, the constant fear of loss. He noticed how those with great riches were often anxious, worried that their fortune might slip away. The more they owned, the more they had to protect, and the more they lived in the shadow of fear. Even someone who accumulated vast treasures could never rest, for the satisfaction of possessing did not eradicate insecurity. It merely transformed it into a different form of worry. In one well-known tale, a wealthy merchant lost part of his fortune and fell into despair as if his life had collapsed. Buddha pointed out that his suffering was not caused by the loss itself, but by his attachment. The merchant had identified so completely with his possessions that when they vanished, he felt empty and unworthy. This story highlights a profound truth. If you let your self-worth hinge on what you own, you grant those objects the power to control your peace of mind. The Buddha's solution was clear. Possessions need not be abandoned, but the attachment to them must be softened. When we realize that happiness cannot be imprisoned in material things, we begin to free ourselves from the constant anxiety of preserving what might be taken from us. Simplicity and detachment. The art of needing less. Buddha's path, known as the middle way, was neither indulgent nor severe. He had witnessed both extremes, the lavish life of a prince and the harsh practices of asceticism. What he discovered was a balanced route, one that allowed for basic needs but did not indulge needless cravings. This practice of simplicity arose from the understanding that true freedom lies not in acquiring everything, but in letting go of the compulsion to have it all. By detaching from excess, we create room for what genuinely matters: calmness of mind and clarity of purpose. Monks in the Buddhist tradition embody this principle by owning only the necessities. They walk through life with a lightness that contrasts sharply with the heaviness some experience when juggling endless possessions. Each item is purposeful, and there is a sense of gratitude rather than entitlement. This approach extends beyond physical items. Mental clutter, unresolved grudges, constant comparisons, or obsessive desires can weigh us down just as much as material possessions. By cultivating detachment, we free ourselves from these mental chains. The practice does not call for us to reject life's joys, but to embrace them without being enslaved by them, confident that our contentment does not rest on any single external factor. Finding contentment in impermanence. Impermanence, or anicca, is a cornerstone of Buddha's teachings. He recognized that all things, from the seasons to our personal fortunes, are in a constant state of flux. Nothing remains stable forever, and attempting to cling to any moment, person, or possession inevitably leads to disappointment. Many of us resist change, longing for good times to last or hoping to avoid life's hardships. Yet, in doing so, we set ourselves up for suffering, because reality unfolds with or without our approval. Buddha illustrated this truth with the parable of the broken cup. When a monk drinks from his cup, he does so with the awareness that one day it will fall, crack, or be lost. By viewing the cup as already broken, he appreciates it fully in the present. When it eventually breaks, he remains calm, for he never assumed it was permanent. This lesson teaches us to cherish what we have, while accepting that nothing is guaranteed to last. Instead of fearing the passage of time, we learn to embrace each moment as unique and fleeting, deepening our sense of gratitude. In this acceptance of life's impermanence, we find a peace that is not shaken by change because we have stopped waging war against the natural flow of existence. The role of mindfulness in cultivating true contentment. Mindfulness is at the heart of Buddhist practice, a method Buddha used to train his mind to remain steady in both comfort and adversity. It involves paying keen attention to the present moment, observing thoughts, emotions, and sensations without judgment. Through this attentive awareness, Buddha discovered that suffering arises when we get lost in the future or dwell in the past. By rooting ourselves in the here and now, we access a calmness that neither anticipates difficulties nor replays old mistakes. This mindful approach can be as simple as pausing to notice your breath. Each inhalation and exhalation serves as an anchor, reminding you that life unfolds one moment at a time. When we practice mindfulness daily, we learn to let intrusive cravings come and go without acting on them, and we see fears for what they are, temporary waves in the vast ocean of our consciousness. Buddha showed that by consistently returning to this calm, centered state, we develop the ability to recognize contentment in even the smallest details of life. This does not require dramatic changes or grandiose efforts. Rather, it calls for deliberate awareness. Over time, this steady observance reveals that real satisfaction is not something you hunt in the outside world, but something you nurture within yourself. In the end, Buddha's journey reminds us that life is not about endlessly pursuing the next desire. True contentment arises when we learn to let go of what we cannot keep, savor what we already have, and accept the flow of constant change. If these teachings resonate with you, pause for a moment and reflect on a single aspect of your life that you often overlook. Could there be contentment waiting for you if you simply choose to see it? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments, and if this journey into Buddhist wisdom inspired you, consider subscribing for more. May you find the peace that comes from needing less and living more fully in each moment. Have you ever wondered why monks appear so calm, no matter what chaos surrounds them? In a world overflowing with triggers, traffic jams, annoying co-workers, daily stress, most of us find it incredibly challenging not to lose our temper from time to time. Yet monks, many of whom follow Buddha's ancient teachings, seem to remain tranquil in situations where anger would normally erupt. Is it some secret superpower they have? Not exactly. Instead, it's a combination of mindset, practice, and a deep understanding of the human mind. Today, we'll explore why monks rarely get angry, how Buddha's wisdom shapes their reactions, and most importantly, how you can adopt these principles to bring more peace and resilience into your own life. Why this story matters today. We live in a world that often celebrates the pursuit of happiness, wealth, and success, yet so many still feel unfulfilled or lost. Buddha's life is a reminder that no matter how much we gain, we cannot escape the inherent suffering of life. Born in royal comfort, he had everything most could ever wish for, yet he was deeply unsettled by the suffering he saw in the world. Over 2,500 years ago, Buddha embarked on a spiritual journey to answer life's biggest question: why is there suffering and how can we end it? His teachings, focused on mindfulness, compassion, and the deep understanding of our minds, are as relevant now as they were back then. Buddha's search for meaning offers a timeless guide for overcoming suffering in our own lives, showing us that peace, joy, and enlightenment are within reach, not through external possessions, but through inner transformation. The misconception about monks and anger. There's a common belief that monks never feel angry, as if they've magically erased that emotion from their repertoire. The reality is far more nuanced. Monks are human beings, and like everyone else, they can experience the beginnings of anger, perhaps a surge of frustration or a moment of irritation. The difference is in how they handle it. Buddha's teachings emphasize that emotions, including anger, are natural occurrences. What truly matters is our response. For many of us, an insult or inconvenience immediately sets off a chain reaction of blame, resentment, or bitterness. A monk, however, has trained to observe the early signs of anger and gently redirect the mind before it explodes into rage. They understand that anger arises, but it doesn't have to dominate. This training doesn't turn them into emotionless robots. Rather, it refines their awareness and self-control. By recognizing the temporary nature of all feelings, monks cultivate a mindset that sees anger as a passing cloud, not a fixed storm. They don't waste energy fighting anger. They simply let it come and go, maintaining a calm center. This skill can be developed by anyone willing to practice, challenging the notion that monks are different or special. They've just discovered a more skillful way to process a universal emotion. How Buddha viewed anger. Buddha taught that all emotions, anger included, arise from our tendency to cling to expectations and illusions. We want the world to behave according to our preferences, and when reality disagrees, anger sparks into life. Buddha's insight was that this clinging doesn't just make us upset, it also blinds us to truth. Anger clouds judgment, spurring rash decisions that often lead to regret. In the Buddhist texts, anger is sometimes compared to grasping a hot coal with the intent of throwing it at someone else. You're the one who gets burned first. Each time you let anger fester, you damage your own peace of mind. Buddha believed that if you wish to end your own suffering and cultivate compassion for others, you must address the root causes of anger: ignorance of impermanence, attachment to how things should be, and the illusion that external events can fully dictate your state of mind. Monks internalize these teachings through meditation, self-reflection, and daily mindfulness exercises. They continually examine the nature of their thoughts and emotions, recognizing anger's fleetingness and learning not to feed it. The goal isn't denial of anger, but a clear, balanced perspective that prevents anger from taking root. By embracing this view, you too can see anger as a self-inflicted wound, one you can choose to avoid by adjusting how you perceive the world. The role of mindfulness. Mindfulness is at the heart of Buddhism, and it's a key reason why monks rarely succumb to anger. In simple terms, mindfulness is paying full attention to the present moment. This means observing your body, emotions, and environment without rushing to label or judge them. When you practice mindfulness, you become more attuned to the signals that precede anger: muscle tension, quickened heartbeat, or certain anxious thoughts. Monks don't wait until they're deep into a rage to respond. They catch anger early, like noticing smoke before a fire breaks out. By catching it at this stage, they can gently shift their focus, maybe taking a few deep breaths or recalling a compassionate thought. This break in the pattern stops anger from escalating. One mindfulness exercise used in monasteries is to periodically pause throughout the day, scanning the mind and body for tension. If a monk notices irritation building, they calmly acknowledge it. "I feel frustration right now." Then let it dissipate. Imagine having that level of self-awareness in your daily life, knowing the moment you start to get angry and having a clear strategy to cool it down. This approach doesn't vanish everyday challenges, but helps you respond skillfully, preserving your peace of mind. And the best part? Mindfulness is a skill anyone can learn with consistent practice, training the mind toward compassion. Buddha taught that compassion is a powerful antidote to anger. Instead of seeing someone who offends or frustrates you as an enemy, monks learn to view them as a being caught in their own struggles and pain. This doesn't mean you excuse harmful behavior, but you recognize that most negativity arises from confusion or suffering. One popular monastic practice is called metta, or loving-kindness meditation. During metta, a monk brings to mind different people, including those they might conflict with, and silently wishes them well. May you be happy. May you be free from suffering. This practice gradually shifts the default mental response from one of defensiveness or aggression to one of empathy and understanding. Imagine transforming your immediate reaction to a hurtful comment from anger into, They must be in pain or uncertainty to speak that way. Over time, this compassionate outlook makes it harder for anger to take root. Instead of fueling the flames of hostility, you become curious about the other person's perspective. You might still need to set boundaries or address the issue, but you do so from a calm, empathetic space. By training the mind toward compassion, monks reduce the triggers that lead to anger, cultivating a gentler approach to human interactions, non-attachment and impermanence. Buddhism teaches that everything is in constant flux: situations, relationships, and even our emotions. This concept, known as impermanence, is crucial in understanding why monks rarely get stuck in anger. They see that no condition lasts forever. Every moment is an opportunity for change. Holding grudges or clinging to expectations is futile because the world will keep shifting regardless of our desires. Monks also practice non-attachment, which means not tying their emotional well-being to how things should be. Instead of resisting change or grasping for control, they adapt. If someone criticizes them, they don't automatically perceive it as a threat to their identity. By recognizing that nothing is permanent, they find it easier to let go of negative emotions like anger. The moment you realize a hurtful remark is just words that will fade, like a wave in the ocean, holding on to anger starts to feel unnecessary. This doesn't imply passivity. Non-attachment isn't about giving up on goals or accepting injustice. It's about releasing the emotional chains that keep anger alive. By letting go of the need for people and situations to behave according to a rigid script, monks free themselves from the trap of constant disappointment and rage, stepping into a more flexible, peaceful mindset. Practical exercises to cool anger. Even if you don't live in a monastery, you can apply some of the same tools monks use to manage anger. When you feel anger rising, start by taking 3 slow, deep breaths, concentrating on the inhale and exhale to give your mind a moment to reset. Then silently note, "I'm experiencing anger right now." By naming the emotion, you shine a light on it, making it less likely to overwhelm you. Gently question your anger. What expectation or need of mine is being threatened? Often, this reveals that the real issue lies within your own inner state rather than the external trigger. Next, try metta meditation by spending a few minutes each day sending warm wishes to yourself, your loved ones, and even those who irritate you. As you cultivate goodwill, anger gradually loses its hold. Also, remind yourself of impermanence by saying, "This moment is passing. This situation will change." Acknowledging that nothing is permanent helps loosen anger's grip on your mind. Try incorporating at least one of these techniques into your daily life. Even small, consistent changes can yield significant benefits, mirroring the mental discipline monks develop through years of dedication. By making mindful choices in the heat of the moment, you pave the way for a calmer, more resilient mindset, transforming relationships and inner peace. When monks reduce their anger, it doesn't just improve their personal well-being, it transforms their relationships and, by extension, their communities. Imagine how different your household, workplace, or social circle could be if anger wasn't the go-to reaction during conflicts. Instead of erupting into arguments, you'd have calmer discussions. Instead of harboring grudges, you'd seek resolutions. This is precisely the ripple effect that occurs in monastic communities, where compassion and understanding become the norm, not the exception. People who learn to channel their emotions thoughtfully build stronger bonds because they communicate openly and listen without the toxic haze of anger. That doesn't mean disagreements vanish. It means they're handled more constructively. Internally, your sense of self also shifts. When you're not triggered by every annoyance, you free up mental energy for creative pursuits, deeper insights, and genuine joy. Buddha's teachings aren't just about renouncing the world. They're about living in it more fully, with clarity and peace. As you let go of anger and practice empathy, you begin to taste the same serenity monks experience, an inner peace that isn't dependent on circumstances. This shift permeates every corner of your life, fostering personal growth and healthier connections with others. Monks don't have a secret formula for never getting angry. They've simply devoted time and effort to understanding the mind, practicing compassion, and letting go of what fuels rage. In embracing Buddha's insights, they recognize that anger is a choice, a habit that can be unlearned through mindfulness, compassion, and acceptance. The best news is you don't need years in a monastery to start seeing results. By adopting these same principles, you can gradually disarm anger before it takes control. Which of these methods resonates with you the most? Let me know in the comments, and if this message resonated, consider subscribing for more deep dives into Buddha's wisdom. May your journey be peaceful and free from the storms of anger. Have you ever found yourself struggling to focus, drifting aimlessly between tasks without making real progress? In a world full of distractions, social media, endless notifications, and constant stress, it can feel impossible to maintain discipline and clarity. Yet monks, who often live simply and follow Buddha's ancient teachings, seem to radiate a calm, laser-focused presence. How do they do it? This exploration reveals the time-tested secrets monks use to sharpen their minds, nurture self-control, and stay dedicated to their purpose. If you're ready to break free from mental clutter and cultivate unshakable focus, you've come to the right place. The meaning of discipline. In Buddhism. Discipline in Buddhism is about more than just following rules or waking up at sunrise. It's a practice of sila, or moral conduct, designed to cultivate inner stability. Buddha taught that an undisciplined mind is easily swayed by desires, fears, and fleeting whims. This instability leads to suffering, not just for the individual but for those around them. In a monastic setting, discipline includes waking early for meditation, keeping vows of simplicity, and adhering to ethical guidelines. But these rules aren't arbitrary constraints. They serve as guardrails, preventing the mind from wandering too far into distraction or self-indulgence. By curbing reactive impulses, monks create an environment where focus and mindfulness can truly flourish. Think of it like a garden. You set boundaries and pull out weeds not to limit growth, but to allow the healthiest plants to thrive. Each small act of discipline, like refraining from gossip or performing morning chores diligently, becomes a stepping stone toward greater mental clarity. For those of us living busy modern lives, adopting a monk's discipline might seem daunting. Yet the underlying principle is accessible to everyone. By consistently directing your mind toward worthwhile pursuits and gently restricting unproductive habits, you set the stage for sustainable focus. It's not about living in a cave. It's about creating conditions that strengthen your resolve and elevate your daily experience. Rise early, setting the tone for the day. One hallmark of monastic life is an early wake-up time, sometimes well before dawn. On the surface, it might look like a grueling routine, but monks regard this quiet morning period as sacred, a blank canvas for the mind before the day's noise seeps in. Buddha himself is said to have used the early hours for meditation and reflection, taking advantage of the stillness to ground his thoughts in the present. Why does this matter? Because the first moments of your day often set the emotional and mental tone for everything that follows. By rising early, monks can devote quality time to mindful activities without distraction, chanting, meditating, or simply observing their breath. They're not just jumping into tasks. They're preparing the mind to handle tasks more skillfully. If you wake up and immediately scroll through your phone, you feed your brain a chaotic buffet of notifications. Compare that with spending a few minutes in silence or gentle movement, letting clarity pave the way for purposeful action. Adopting an earlier start time, even by 15 or 30 minutes, can offer a glimpse into why monks value this practice so highly. In that quiet pocket of the day, your mind is fresh, your willpower is strong, and your environment is mostly free from intrusion. This ease of focus forms the foundation of a disciplined, productive mindset. Mindfulness as the backbone of focus. While discipline involves structure and routine, The true power behind monk-like focus lies in mindfulness, the art of paying full attention to the present moment. Buddha repeatedly emphasized that mindfulness anchors the mind against the currents of distractions and cravings. Rather than sprinting through tasks on autopilot, monks approach each activity, whether it's sweeping a temple floor or sipping tea, with full presence. This meticulous attention prevents the mind from darting toward the next thing. By immersing themselves in the now, monks reduce the mental clutter that usually leads to stress or half-hearted work. For instance, if you're reading a book but constantly checking your phone, you never truly absorb the text. Mindful reading, on the other hand, lets each sentence sink in, leading to better comprehension and retention. In modern life, you can apply this by designating blocks of time where you commit to a single task. No multitasking, no background social media. If your thoughts wander, gently guide them back. This approach isn't about perfection, it's about practice. Over time, your mind learns the habit of sustained attention, making it easier to stay focused for longer periods. Think of mindfulness as the quiet fuel that allows discipline to run smoothly, ensuring you remain steadfast in both thought and action, simplifying the environment. Monks famously own few possessions, and it's not just for aesthetic show. They understand that excessive clutter, physical or mental, drains energy and scatters focus. The Buddha observed how attachment to objects or endless options leads to restlessness. By limiting possessions and choices, monks free their minds from the burden of constant decision-making. In your own world, consider the environment where you spend most of your time. Is it overflowing with papers, gadgets, and visual distractions? A cluttered desk or a room piled with belongings can make it much harder to concentrate. Each item competes for your attention, even if only subconsciously. One of the simplest ways to harness monk-like discipline is to declutter your immediate surroundings. Clear your desk of everything except the essential tools for your current task. Organize frequently used items in drawers or cabinets out of direct sight. Beyond the physical, digital clutter also eats away at focus. Count how many apps and notifications you deal with daily. By uninstalling unneeded software or muting excessive alerts, you mirror the monastic principle of owning fewer distractions. The mental load lifts, and with fewer temptations pulling at your attention, discipline naturally strengthens. Simplifying isn't about denying yourself comforts. It's about curating your space so your mind can engage deeply with what truly matters. Embracing routine and ritual. Monastic life is steeped in routine. Set times for waking, meditating, chanting, eating, and resting. While such structure may seem restrictive to outsiders, monks find that routines form a dependable container in which focus can thrive. By knowing exactly when they'll meditate or perform certain duties, they conserve mental energy otherwise spent planning or deciding. This frees their minds to dive deeper into each moment. Rituals like chanting or prostrations serve a similar purpose. They're not random ceremonies, but deliberate actions that ground the practitioner in the present and remind them of their commitment. In a sense, rituals are like a daily check-in with one's highest intentions. Over time, these small, repeated acts build discipline at a subconscious level, making it less likely that fleeting impulses will derail a monk's day. For those in modern settings, adopting a modest but consistent routine can yield surprising benefits. For example, choose a regular meditation time or a weekly ritual like reviewing your goals each Sunday. You might also set aside a short wind-down period each night. No screens, just quiet reflection. These mini rituals weave discipline into daily life, ensuring that even when motivation wavers, habits carry you forward. Buddha's teachings suggest that when the mind is supported by routine, it becomes less chaotic, more centered, and ultimately more effective in all endeavors. Training through service and selfless action. Another pillar of monastic discipline is service, contributing efforts for the benefit of the community. Whether it's cleaning the temple, helping prepare meals, or tending to the sick, monks see these tasks as opportunities for practice rather than obligations. Buddha emphasized the virtue of generosity, dana, and selfless action. seeing them as ways to curb the ego and focus on shared well-being. When you perform actions purely for your own gain, it's easy to lose interest once the novelty wears off. But when you serve a purpose larger than yourself, discipline gains stronger roots. You're not just acting for personal satisfaction, you're upholding a commitment to something meaningful. In a monastery, this might mean continuing to sweep even when tired, because cleanliness benefits everyone. Outside the monastery, consider volunteering, mentoring, or simply helping a neighbor in need. Service reminds you why discipline matters in the first place. By dedicating a portion of your week to selfless acts, you align with the monk's spirit of compassion. This alignment naturally boosts motivation, making it easier to stay focused on daily tasks. After all, discipline feels more sustainable when it's tied to values like kindness and community, rather than just personal achievement. This is where Buddha's insight shines. Focus deepens when the heart is involved. Meditation, the anchor of discipline. Meditation lies at the heart of monk discipline, offering a structured way to observe and steady the mind. Buddha's own journey revolved around deep meditation sessions, culminating in his enlightenment under the Bodhi tree. For monks, daily meditation sessions are non-negotiable, a time to cultivate mindfulness, examine mental patterns, and practice detachment from fleeting thoughts. At first glance, meditation can appear passive, just sitting quietly doing nothing. Yet this stillness is profoundly active. Monks engage in watching their breath, scanning their bodies for tension, or repeating calming mantras. Each breath becomes an exercise in focus, each distraction a chance to strengthen mental resolve. Over weeks and months, this consistent training rewires the brain, making concentration more effortless and reducing the mental chatter that saps productivity. In a contemporary setting, even 5 minutes of meditation at the start or end of your day can anchor you. The key is consistency. As with any discipline, the brain learns through repeated effort. If you've ever started and then abandoned meditation, consider approaching it like a monk. The goal isn't instant peace, but gradual mastery of your own mind. Over time, the discipline of meditation spills into the rest of your life, helping you remain calm under pressure and unwavering in your commitments. Overcoming obstacles, what Buddha taught. Buddha never claimed the path to discipline and enlightenment was easy. In fact, he openly acknowledged obstacles like laziness, doubt, and restlessness, known in Buddhism as hindrances. Monks face these challenges too. They're not immune to feeling unmotivated or questioning their path. What sets them apart is how they respond to these mental hurdles. When doubt arises, like wondering if all this effort is worthwhile, Buddha's advice is to investigate the doubt. Reflect on why it's there and whether it's rooted in fear or misunderstanding. If restlessness threatens to break concentration, monks use mindfulness to observe the agitation without judgment, letting it settle naturally. For laziness or procrastination, a monk might remind themselves of their vows or the suffering they originally sought to transcend. Each obstacle becomes a teaching moment, revealing the mind's tendencies and offering a chance to realign with the chosen discipline. You can apply these strategies by naming your own obstacles. Feeling lazy? Ask yourself if you're truly tired or avoiding discomfort. Overwhelmed? Break tasks down into smaller, manageable steps. The point is to treat hindrances not as failures, but as prompts for introspection and course correction. In doing so, you practice the same resilience that keeps monks steadfast in their routines. Bringing monk discipline into your everyday life. Monastic discipline might seem worlds away from deadlines, car commutes, and busy social calendars. But the underlying principles, mindfulness, structured routines, embracing service, and meditation, apply to anyone willing to cultivate focus and clarity. Remember, monks aren't disciplined by nature. They become disciplined through consistent choices that shape their environment and mindset. Buddha's insights guide this process, offering a roadmap to calm and purposeful living. Start small. Wake up a bit earlier. Simplify your workspace. Block out uninterrupted time for a crucial project. Experiment with short mindfulness or meditation sessions, and find a way to serve others that resonates with your life. Each decision in favor of discipline, however modest, is a step toward the steady composure monks exemplify. As Buddha taught, real transformation happens from within. You don't need a robe or monastery to develop unshakable discipline, just the willingness to practice, reflect, and adjust. Over time, the chaos of constant distractions will subside, replaced by the quiet confidence that you can direct your energy wisely. The secrets of monk discipline aren't secrets at all. They're invitations to live more consciously, reminding us that focus is as much an inner art as it is an external skill. Monks show us that discipline isn't about rigid perfection. It's about creating a life guided by mindful choices. By integrating simple habits like rising early, decluttering your environment, embracing service, and meditating regularly, you can break free from distraction and cultivate enduring focus. Ready to try one or two practices that stood out to you? Let us know in the comments how you plan to weave these monk-inspired disciplines into your day. And if you'd like more insights on living with greater clarity and purpose, like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Monk Mindset. May you find the calm strength that comes from self-mastery.